One quiet afternoon in the Northern Ireland countryside, Jamie Dornan sat on his porch, a steaming cup of coffee in his hand, his eyes dreamily looking out at the woods that were turning into autumn. His phone vibrated on the old wooden table, announcing a post that was making the rounds on social media. Dakota Johnson spotted with mystery man in Italy, romance confirmed. Jamie put down his coffee cup, picked up his phone and opened the article. A moment passed in his eyes, not outright jealousy, not exactly sadness, but a quiet note in his soul, as if a chapter had officially closed. "She's happy," Jamie whispered, a small smile flashing but his eyes gleaming with a vague light. He knew that between him and Dakota, there had always been something that couldn't be named, a feeling that went beyond friendship, but was never enough to become true love. Together they wrote a cinematic icon, Christian Grey and Anastasia Steele. 3 films, thousands of hours of filming, countless touches, eyes that burned the screen. But because of that complicated relationship, they always kept a safe distance in real life, close enough to care, but far enough to not be immersed. Jamie did not call Dakota. He knew that, if it were before, he would have texted her a congratulatory message, or made a joke to hide his true feelings. But this time he just stayed silent, like an audience sitting in the darkness of a movie theater, witnessing his main character step into a new story. That night, Jamie played an old song on the piano, a song that he and Dakota had heard in an unreleased scene. He let the notes guide his emotions, not trying to hold on, nor avoiding. Because he understood. There are people who do not belong to each other, but will always be an unforgettable part of each other's lives. The next day, Jamie woke up earlier than usual. He made a strong espresso, trying to dispel the emptiness that was hard to name. The posts were still all over social media, pictures of Dakota smiling brightly, holding hands with a stranger in a Florence cafe. Her eyes were the same, innocent and bright, but no longer directed at him. Jamie opened his phone. He still had her saved as D, simple, but distinct. His finger lingered on the messages box. They hadn't really spoken in a while, just the occasional emoji for a birthday or a movie premiere. Finally, he typed, "Isn't Italy beautiful?" But then deleted it. He tried again. "You look so happy when you smile." And deleted it again. Finally, he wrote a short text message, the same one they had said to each other after every tense scene, after every time they couldn't tell what was real and what was acting. "Glad you're smiling, really." The message was sent. A moment later, an icon of 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. Finally, Dakota replied, "Some smiles are for the world. Some stay behind the camera." Jamie looked at the text, his heart fluttering. He wanted to reply with something, a belated confession? A question of, "Have you ever thought, what if things were different?" But he didn't send it. Instead, he turned on the recorder, placed it next to the piano, and let the notes speak for themselves. He played the same song, this time a new version, slower, more profound. Each key is a memory, a look, a touch that can never be kept off screen. When the song ends, he presses the send button. Just a sound, no words, no explanation, but he knows Dakota will understand. Final subtitle. And then, both of them, on opposite sides of the world, continue their lives. No worries, no holding back. But somewhere, in a quiet coffee shop or in a movie scene, they will still remember each other. Like 2 stars that once touched each other's orbits, even if only for a moment. When what can't be forgotten finds its way back. Time passed. It had been almost a year since Jamie sent Dakota that song, and the last time they'd spoken. Each had been caught up in their own lives, new movies, new events, and relationships that seemed to fill the void left by the other. And then, an unexpected invitation appeared, the 10th anniversary of 50 Shades of Grey. It was a private event, held in London, only for those who had been a part of that journey. Jamie was late. He walked into the ballroom during a behind-the-scenes screening. Dakota smiled shyly after a difficult scene, and Jamie stepped forward to hug her. The theater erupted in laughter, but the images came flooding back to him as if they had never faded. He pushed his way through the crowd, trying to find a quiet spot at a table in the corner. And then, like a film rewinding to the fateful moment, she appeared. Dakota, in a simple black dress, her hair tied back lightly, her face without much makeup but still as radiant as ever. She stepped closer, her eyes meeting his. No need for a greeting, no need to ask. They just looked at each other, as if reading a chapter of a story that they both knew by heart. "Do you still drink espresso?" she asked, half jokingly. "Yeah, still as bitter as ever," Jamie smiled, her eyes shining with something very distant, "but I'm used to it." Dakota sat down, gently swirling her glass of wine. No one mentioned the past, but the whole room seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them, in a space where time had once frozen. "You sent me that song, and then disappeared," she said, as light as the wind. "I played it over and over for a week." "I didn't know what to say after that," Jamie said honestly. Dakota was silent, then smiled, a real smile, not for the world this time, but just for him. "I didn't know what I wanted to hear." A silence, but not oppressive. Just acceptance. And peace. Jamie looked at her, no longer Anastasia, no longer the Dakota of yesterday, but a woman who had grown up, strong, and no longer his, but no longer a stranger. "I used to think that if things were different, maybe." Dakota put her hand on his, gently. "But it's because things weren't different, that makes us us." The party continued. Everyone raised their glasses, cheering with cheers and flashbulbs. But in a quiet moment, amid laughter and memories, Jamie and Dakota met again, not to start over, but to know that there are things that don't need to be formed, to exist forever. There are loves that do not bloom in season. There are souls that are lost in the years. But if it is true, no matter how late, they will find their way back. And when those two eyes meet again, no more roles, no more fame, only two people remain, finally choosing to stay together.